Taxi medallions were once seen as a good investment, literally a license to make money for cab drivers. But times have changed. Only on 5, Wilson Walker reports the medallion market has become a mess that could come back to haunt the city.
25 years I've done this job. I've always complied with the rules and regulations. I'm just trying to earn an honest living.
Take a ride with San Francisco taxi cab driver Chris French and you'll hear an increasingly familiar story.
And I went ahead and bought a medallion. And like I said, it just keeps getting worse.
Yes, we are talking about taxi medallions.
I finally bought my medallion at $23,000.
Something drivers in the city have wrestled over since the 70s.
I've got 3 sons that I figured I was going to leave it to.
That's because those medallions were the only way to drive a cab in the city. Their restricted number literally drove demand for taxis and the medallions themselves, so they were long considered a license to make money. Some drivers spending 10, 15, even 20 years on a waiting list just for a chance to buy one.
There I am.
Well, flash forward to the late 2000s when San Francisco faced 2 problems: a shortage of cabs on the street and a $50 million budget shortfall at the SFMTA.
Really, the only direction that I received from the powers that be at the time were to sell medallions.
Christine Hayashi, one-time head of the city's taxi program, now retired, she was asked to restructure the medallion system in 2008.
So I think San Francisco was looking at the New York medallion system and seeing that there was a tremendous amount of revenue opportunity that they were not taking advantage of at the time.
And that was the idea, turn demand for medallions into a money maker for the city. But $250,000 a pop, that's a house in a normal real estate market. So the city needed a lending partner to issue medallion loans, and they found one just 2 blocks away from City Hall.
San Francisco Federal Credit Union is doing the financing. $1,000 a month, I made the payment. I have $1,500 left over for myself. And that seemed like a good deal, so I went for it.
Initially, drivers bought medallions. The city made millions of dollars in transfer fees, and the credit union was collecting interest on those loans. Only something else was happening at the very same moment.
Uber or Flywheel or Lips or Mustache, all these costs are...
Just as the city finalized the taxi medallion program, ride-sharing was disrupting and on its way to crippling the taxi industry. Now, in cabs across San Francisco, medallions have turned into something like a troubled mortgage.
So I'm giving up. It'll be enough, maybe I can keep up with my loan payments and hold on to the medallion until they can sell it.
Last time the city sold a medallion, April of 2016.
What it's worth, it's really questionable.
If there is not a line of people willing to pay $250,000 for a medallion, does the system work?
Clearly not.
But there's an even larger problem brewing tonight: the credit union's medallion portfolio.
I've heard anecdotally that some people who have bought medallions are literally walking away from their loans.
In fact, KPIX 5 has learned that the San Francisco Federal Credit Union has now foreclosed on 70 medallion loans. The credit union has also filed a legal claim against San Francisco as stakeholders increasingly blame the city for a medallion market that fell apart when tens of thousands of non-medallioned cars were allowed to hit city streets.
The city should give us our money back.
The taxi drivers told us at that time, why aren't you enforcing the laws against these illegal market participants?
Do you feel like the city undercut you just by allowing?
Yeah, I feel like they stabbed me in the back.
And there is more. This is a second complaint filed against the city, this one from the Medallion Buyers Alliance, complete with 6 pages worth of claimant names. Now back to the credit union, it says it is sitting on $125 million worth of, quote, impaired loans. That would represent about 10% of the credit union's total assets.
Wow. This is the modern day buggy whip story. You don't need them anymore. Why is the city not making this right with these drivers?
Well, I think the city is sort of trying to figure out how to sort this out. The SFMTA has hired a consultant to look into this. The mayor's office declined to comment today as it's now a legal matter, but in these complaints, you can already hear the case against the city. SFMTA sold the Medallions. They were responsible for enforcing the taxi regulations, and they failed to stop an obvious threat to the Medallion economy. It is an expensive mess that touches on politics and possibly a legal review of San Francisco's relationship with the ride-sharing companies that upended the taxi industry.
Yeah.
Most likely.
And that administration's over with. Now we have a new mayor.
And amazing to think that sort of seems like several years after the whole ride-sharing thing happened, are we going to go back and take another look at how this all unfolded and who's responsible for the debt it has left behind?
Yeah, they're expensive, $250,000.
Wilson, good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.